A German officer's villa became an unlikely hiding place, thanks to one brave housekeeper. Irene Opdyke was a young Polish woman forced to work as a housekeeper for a German army officer during World War II. Beneath the officer's villa, there was a cellar. While he entertained guests upstairs, Irene secretly sheltered 12 Jewish men and women below. She cooked for them, smuggled food from the officer's kitchen, and passed along news of upcoming raids. She even risked forging papers and moving people at night when danger grew too close. For months, she maintained this double life, constantly fearing discovery, but determined to keep them alive. After the war, the people she saved testified on her behalf, and she eventually emigrated to the United States, where she spoke publicly about her experiences. Today, Irene Opdyke is honored as righteous among the nations at Yad Vashem, a reminder of how one determined person can act with courage and humanity even in the darkest of times. Two teenage sisters turned their tiny attic into a refuge from the Holocaust. Stefania Podgórska was only 16 when the German army occupied her Polish town. Left to care for her 6-year-old sister Helena, she worked in a grocery store owned by a Jewish family. When the family was forced into the ghetto, Stefania promised to help. In 1942, she and Helena moved into a small cottage on the edge of town. Bit by bit, they brought Jewish friends out of the ghetto and hid them in the attic. Eventually, 13 people lived in that cramped space above their heads. The sisters risked execution every day, smuggling food and medicine, keeping the secret from neighbors and soldiers who sometimes billeted in the house. Despite inspections and raids, no one was betrayed. All 13 survived the war. Stefania and Helena Podgórska's courage shows how even the youngest could choose compassion over fear, saving lives in the darkest times. In a tiny French village, a pastor led a rescue operation that defied the Nazis. André Trocmé was a Protestant minister in the mountain town of Le Chambon-sur-Lignon during World War II. When Nazi persecution of Jews intensified, he quietly organized his congregation to turn the village into a sanctuary. Families opened their homes, schools hid children under false names, and secret routes guided people toward the Swiss border. Trocmé preached non-violence from the pulpit, but backed it with action, forging identity papers, coordinating safe houses, and urging villagers to see each refugee as a neighbor. Under his leadership, thousands of Jews, many of them children, found shelter and escape in Le Chambon. Despite Gestapo raids and arrests, Trocmé refused to betray anyone. His work stands as a powerful example of how moral conviction and community solidarity can save lives even under occupation. Sometimes saving lives means breaking the rules. Aristides de Sousa Mendes was Portugal's consul in Bordeaux, France, when Nazi troops swept across Europe. In 1940, thousands of desperate refugees, many of them Jews, crowded outside his consulate, hoping for visas to escape through Portugal. Lisbon had ordered its diplomats to deny them. Sousa Mendes refused. For days he worked around the clock, personally signing visa after visa, sometimes at his own dining table, giving people a way out when every other door was closing. It's estimated he saved tens of thousands from deportation. His defiance cost him his career and left him in poverty, but his actions turned him into one of the most important rescuers of the war. Today, Aristides de Sousa Mendes is honored as a symbol of moral courage, proof that even one official's signature can change the course of countless lives. In a small Polish village, one family quietly chose compassion over fear. Wiktoria Ulma and her husband Józef lived in Markowa with their 6 young children. During the Nazi occupation, they opened their farmhouse attic to 8 Jewish neighbors, sharing what little food they had and doing everything possible to keep them safe. Wiktoria, pregnant with her 7th child, carried on caring for everyone under constant risk. In March 1944, German forces discovered the hiding place. The Jews in their care were killed, and Wiktoria and her entire family also lost their lives that day. Although their story ends in tragedy, the Ulmas are remembered for their courage and kindness, a powerful reminder that even in the darkest times, ordinary people can act with extraordinary humanity. One Swedish diplomat turned bureaucracy into a weapon to save lives. Raoul Wallenberg arrived in Budapest in 1944 as a young Swedish envoy with one mission: protect Jews from deportation to Nazi death camps. Using Sweden's neutral status, he designed and issued thousands of protective passports that identified their holders as Swedish citizens under diplomatic protection. He rented entire buildings and declared them Swedish territory, turning them into safe houses. Wallenberg drove into deportation lines, pulling people off trains with his documents, and even confronted German officers face-to-face to stop executions. By the war's end, he had saved tens of thousands of Hungarian Jews. Though he disappeared after being arrested by Soviet forces in 1945, his legacy endures as one of the most daring and effective rescue efforts of the Holocaust. She hid Jews from the Nazis in her clock shop. Corrie ten Boom, born in 1892 in the Netherlands, worked alongside her father in their family clock shop in Haarlem. When the Nazis occupied the country, Corrie and her family turned their home and shop into a secret refuge, building hidden rooms to keep people safe. She personally helped dozens escape arrest, coordinating with resistance networks. In 1944, the family was betrayed and arrested. Corrie was sent to Ravensbrück concentration camp, where she endured unimaginable hardships, but even there, she comforted fellow prisoners and shared hope. After the war, Corrie dedicated her life to sharing the stories of those she saved and preaching forgiveness. Corrie ten Boom passed away in 1983, but her courage and compassion live on. One woman saved thousands of children from the Holocaust. That woman was Henrietta Szold. Born in 1860 in Baltimore, Szold dedicated her life to Jewish education and welfare. In 1912, she founded Hadassah, a women's organization that became more than just a social group. It became a lifeline. During the 1930s and early 1940s, as Nazi terror spread across Europe, she launched Youth Aliyah, a program that rescued thousands of Jewish children from certain death. She coordinated with families, governments, and relief organizations to bring these children to safety, giving them homes, schools, and hope. Even in her later years, she worked tirelessly, navigating complex politics and scarce resources, always prioritizing the lives of children over convenience or comfort. Her courage and organization directly saved countless young lives from the horrors of the Holocaust. Henrietta passed away in 1945, but the children she saved and the lives they went on to lead remain her living legacy. She defied the Nazis to protect Jewish lives. That woman was Zofia Kossak-Szczucka. Born in 1889 in Poland, Kossak-Szczucka was a celebrated writer and a devout Catholic. When the Nazis occupied Poland, she co-founded the Jagota, the Council to Aid Jews, a clandestine organization that coordinated hiding places, forged documents, and escape routes for thousands of Jewish men, women, and children. Despite constant danger, Kossak-Szczucka used her influence, courage, and organizational skills to ensure that help reached those in desperate need. She famously stated that saving lives was a moral imperative, regardless of personal risk. Her efforts directly saved countless lives during the Holocaust, showing that moral courage can defy even the darkest times. Zofia Kossak-Szczucka passed away in 1968, but the lives she saved remain her lasting legacy. One diplomat's pen gave thousands a chance to live. Chiune Sugihara was Japan's vice-consul in Lithuania in 1940, just as Nazi persecution spread east. Trains of Jewish refugees arrived at his office, desperate for transit visas to escape through Japan. Tokyo told him to refuse. Instead, Sugihara sat at his desk for weeks, handwriting visa after visa, sometimes 300 a day, even passing them out through the train window as he prepared to leave. With those papers, families could travel across the Soviet Union and reach safety in Japan or other countries. His defiance cost him his diplomatic career, but it saved an estimated 6,000 lives. Today, Chiune Sugihara is remembered as the Japanese Schindler, a quiet example of how moral courage and simple paperwork can become an act of rescue.